It's always a good day when a new bottle of Wild Turkey arrives in the whiskey room in a teal colored box. This is the newest Master's Keep for 2023, and with that, the first time in the brand's history, it is debuting a rum cask finished bourbon. Officially, the 2023 Master's Keep Voyage. Now, as you may or may not know, the Master's Keep series first launched in 2015. It was born from Eddie Russell's desire to experiment with different aging techniques, blends, and also unique finishes like the One, Revival, and even last year's Unforgotten. Wild Turkey, Master's Keep, rum finish, and another price increase. Let's dive into it. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. for the Master and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, help grow the channel for 2023. So this being a finished bourbon, I want to get this poured real quick before we dive in, but I also want to give you guys the opportunity to win a free 12-pack from today's sponsor. It's ZBiotics. Today's sponsor is ZBiotics, the amazing prebiotic I've been using behind the scenes for over a year now. With all the great feedback from viewers and all the different folks that are reaching out to me and saying how much they love this stuff, it's really become the first drink of the night for a better tomorrow. I've talked about the single barrels that I pick and blending that I do, but being that it's summertime, when I go to barbecues or I go to family events, it's either cold beers or sometimes even cold cocktails. So I'm always glad to have ZBiotics in my back pocket just for those occasions. So how does this stuff work so well? ZBiotics was developed by some very, very smart scientists who knew the real problem is not dehydration when you drink. It's actually a byproduct of alcohol that is most responsible for rough mornings after drinking. ZBiotics produces an enzyme like the one your liver uses to break down this byproduct. So anytime I know I'm going to have a few drinks, go to a barbecue or blend, or whether it's the night of one of my live streams, I take ZBiotics, and the next day I wake up, go to work, get back to the gym, and I bounce back faster than ever. Now, it's not that hard, guys. All you gotta do is drink one of these about an hour before you start drinking, and that's it. Now, still drink water to stay hydrated throughout the night, get a good night's sleep, but ZBiotics will make it a lot easier to get out of bed or get off the couch the next day. This has no random plant extracts, no off-the-shelf ingredients, no sugar added. It's real science that works. And on top of that, there's a 100% money-back guarantee, so why not give it a try? Here's how. Get 15% off your first order of ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic by clicking the link in the description box and using my code MASHANDDRUM at checkout. On top of that, if you leave a comment below on how ZBiotics works so well for you and why you think others should try it, ZBiotics may choose you to win a free 12-pack. That's right, a free 12-pack of ZBiotics. So go grab some now, and thanks to ZBiotics and to all of you watching for making the sponsors happen. All right, so the details. Voyage was created by a first-time collaboration with Dr. Joy Spence, the renowned master blender of Appleton Estate Jamaica rum, and of course, Wild Turkey master distiller Eddie Russell. Now combined, these two share more than 80 years of combined experience in crafting delicious spirits. So to make Voyage, Dr. Joy Spence hand-selected some of the finest casks from the iconic Jamaican rum house Appleton Estate that previously held 14-year-old pot still rum and were chosen for their potential to best complement the flavors of Wild Turkey's extra-aged bourbons. Those specialty selected casks then made the voyage to Wild Turkey in Lawrenceburg, where Eddie Russell hand-selected a batch of 10-year-old bourbon that had been aged in Wild Turkey's classic No. 4 char barrels. Now, the bourbon was finished in those rum casks in Kentucky. The final expression is bottled at 106 proof. It's available now in the iconic Master's Keep box and embossed turkey bottle for a price, another price increase of $275. Now, the price increase on this was the big surprise historically when you look at the Master's Keeps that preceded this one. You have the 17-year-old bottle and bond, and I think Cornerstone was around that $175 mark. You had Master's Keep 1 and also Unforgotten, which hit the $200 mark, $225 in some places. So this being announced at $275, I'm sure, sourcing very old, high-aged Jamaican rum casks isn't cheap. So I'm sure that factors into the cost a little bit, but you see another price increase in a world of whiskey price increases. It's not the best thing to see, but let's see how it is. Here we go. The first thing you get on this, which I like, is a good burst of that rum cask. I think you get the molasses. There's a little hint of maple syrup there. It's very fruit forward. I mean, I could argue maybe hints of like toasted coconut here and there, but it's mainly that rummy molasses note. What I also get is that wild turkey, almost vanilla icing, vanilla cake type note. So you combine the two, it's basically like a rum soaked vanilla sponge cake on the nose, which smells incredible. I mean, it's very sweet, it's very enticing. The more of the, when I first opened this, I felt like it was all rum. I was getting a lot of rum, but give it a little bit of time, second pour, some of the wild turkey, you know, those typical wild turkey notes are coming through. But for the most part, I can say from a nose standpoint, it seems very well integrated. Let's give it a try. Here we go. So this is a very different experience from the first time I tried it. First time I tried it, it was very rum forward. But now more of the wild turkey notes are coming through on here. So you get like the really nice caramel and a little bit of like those, almost like those chocolate covered orange rinds a little bit. But then it turns into more of that, you know, that rum soaked, you know, sponge cake that I was talking about. Gets a little bit tropical in the back end, more of that molasses comes through, which is really good. Let's go for another sip here. Very sweet. This is one of the sweeter, I think, wild turkeys you will try. I mean, my palate is just picking up a little bit of the pineapple and molasses. And it's everything's very caramelized. Everything, this is like putting a slice of pineapple on a grill, just getting it all caramelized, but then, you know, soaking some rum in that vanilla cake, like I said. There's that hint of chocolate that's right on the very end of it that I think mixes with the citrus flavors from your typical wild turkey notes that I normally get on wild turkey. However, what I'm finding here, let me do a third sip here. There's a very delicate spice as well. I think the wild turkey, again, I think the wild turkey is starting to come out more in this aspect. This has definitely changed my mind a little bit. The first time I tasted it, I was not a big fan, but this has changed a little bit for the better, I think. As you keep sipping this, the fact that it's 106 proof, I do think starts to come to the forefront. I'm not getting a ton on the front of the palate anymore. The first couple sips, yes. But as you sip this, I think it starts getting a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more dull a little bit, where the rum cask, I think, really kind of took over some of the spice from the wild turkey. You get all the spice on the back end of this. That's where all the spice is. The black pepper, the sweetness, those turkey notes, but really mid-palate is where that burst of like that rum-soaked cake comes to the forefront. Honestly, the finish is the best part of this. It's all about the finish for this whiskey. The finish has the spice, it has all the flavor, all well integrated. Again, I think this is probably the best rum finished bourbon I've ever had. There's been a lot of them that have missed the mark for me. And we'll go through some of the alternatives that I'm talking about, you know, but as far as like the flavors coming together, this very much reminds me of the experience with Wild Turkey Revival, the Master's Keep Revival, I should say, where that was finished in Oloroso sherry cask. You know, Eddie Russell went to Spain. He picked out some specially selected sherry barrels that integrated the best, he thought, with the Wild Turkey profile. And I think that's what you're seeing here, except just with a rum cask. All right, last sip here. It's good. It's an absolutely crushable Wild Turkey Master's Keep. Crushable. Again, the front of the palate starts with a little bit of spice. You get the vanilla, the caramel, a little bit of the citrus that you know from Wild Turkey. As soon as it hits mid-palate, the burst of rum flavors really come through to the forefront. Again, that rum-soaked like vanilla sponge cake. Then as soon as it hits the back of the palate, the finish is the best part of this. I'll continue to say it. And one thing I forgot to mention, even though it's 106 proof, I don't think I mentioned what a good texture it is. It's got a nice creamy texture to it. But again, the finish is where this shines the most for me. It's the finish on it. It's those rum notes integrating with the finish and the Wild Turkey notes all at the very back end of it. And that's the best part of this whiskey. But is this a $275 bourbon? Gonna have to think about this one long and hard.
That's what she said.
All right, it's final breakdown time. All right, final breakdown time. I kind of really had to sit with this one and figure it out because this one was a little bit tough for me. $275 is the price point on it though. $500 secondary, I'm seeing that already, but I'd imagine as more of these get out into the market, you'll see that price come down. Availability on this obviously is limited, as with most Master's Keeps. When it comes to value, that's where I was kind of, you know, going back and forth a bit, but I think I've landed on low value, unfortunately. But for this one, the biggest argument I've seen is that it's $275. It's a 10-year-old bourbon. And why am I going to pay $275 for 10-year-old bourbon? I can go get a Russell's Reserve single barrel, Russell's Reserve store pick, that'll be around the same age for under $100. And it's hard to argue that. But as you guys know, common sense usually flies out the window when it comes to, you know, limited editions, especially Wild Turkey Master's Keep. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say it's a low value. What's the most I pay here? Not any penny more than $275 plus tax. Alternatives, we just named a couple of them, Foregate being one of them, but you have Bardstown Bourbon Company, who has released two rum finished bourbons, and both of those are about 160 to 200 bucks, depending on where you got it. So those are pricey bourbons as well. You have Nulu, you know, they're putting out some rum finishes. You have Starlight out of Indiana. You have Breckenridge, Redemption, and Peerless, all doing rum finished bourbons. Now, obviously, a lot of those aren't the age that this is, and a lot of them you're not sure what quality of rum cast they're using. So if you don't want to pay $275 for a rum finished bourbons, there are a lot of options out there, from all the way up in the $200 to $225 and $275, all the way down to about 60 bucks. So there's a lot out there to try. All right, so what is my recommendation? Is it a skip? Is it a try before you buy? Is it a buy? Is it a buy and back it up? There's something about the Master's Keeps that's happened to Master's Keep in the last several years that they don't sit anymore. They're generally gonna just fly off the shelves. That will be an interesting thing to see as it progresses. However, for me, I'm gonna say it's a buy. So I love the finish on this one. I like the flavors. I also happen to be a rum fan. So I think the combination of these two work really well together. However, if you're not a rum fan, you don't like overly sweet whiskeys, this is a very sessionable whiskey. You could bring this out and probably crush this in an afternoon with like a bunch of friends, because it's really easy to sip. It's not high proof. It's extremely sweet. It's a very desserty type bourbon, which I think a lot of people will like. But to break it down simply, if you're gonna spend the 275 bucks on this, you better like Wild Turkey, you better like easy sipping whiskeys, and you better like rum. All right, guys, well, thanks for watching this review on the Master and Drum for the new Wild Turkey Master's Keep Voyage. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this one, if you've had it yet. If you're already like, I'm not buying that thing. It's a 10-year-old rum-finished bourbon. I'm not paying $275 for it. Let me know down in the comments. Sound off. Let me know what you guys think about the pricing for this one. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey. It's the people you share it with. Cheers. See you next time right here on the Master and Drum. Take care, folks.